All this week, we've taken you to cities along the West Coast to investigate homelessness in this country. From the beginning, we planned to show how much the problem has grown, but even we were shocked by the scale of the epidemic in the places we visited. The homeless are not just a problem in rich economic hubs like San Francisco, but also in dying post-industrial cities, in college towns, even in rural areas. The investigation was a little bit stronger than we thought it was going to be, and the reaction has been much more profound than we anticipated, too. In Sacramento, police performed a warrant sweep at the city's riverfront encampment the day after our package aired. 30 people were arrested, but most of the encampments remain, and they're threatening the structural integrity of the city's levee system. In Seattle, we reported the shocking drug problems at a tent encampment off of Interstate 5. Seattle police raided that camp yesterday and confiscated huge quantities of crack cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, marijuana, firearms, and machetes. They even took a sword. They plan to evict the residents and clear that camp next week. But small efforts like this are also unequal to the problem, which again is growing. The fact is that homelessness is America's forgotten crisis. Beltway journalists spend their days in Twitter competitions trying to prove they're the best at hating Trump or opposing Russia. Career bureaucrats obsessed over toppling governments in Iran or Venezuela. They refuse to acknowledge the problem steadily eroding the country we actually live in. America's homeless population is huge and growing, according to the government. Even as the homeless population rises, the number of people in shelters is dropping. That means more people on the streets, more garbage, more needles, more human waste, more human misery. Of course, we could build more shelters and provide more treatment for mental illness and addiction. We could clean up our parks and our sidewalks and our riverbanks. Local governments have shown themselves bizarrely unwilling to do any of that. Those strategies would help, but they don't confront the underlying problem. Why are so many people winding up living outside in this country? To answer that question would require investigating and fixing far deeper ailments. Opioids must be treated like what they are. They're the single greatest public health crisis to face America since the Spanish flu a century ago. We need to find a real way to lower housing prices and provide a path for working-class people to own homes, instead of selling the country to Chinese investors and prioritizing the returns of real estate speculators, which is what we now do. We need to honestly address the collapse of families. We need to implement policies that would keep them together, or at least try. We need to stop viewing struggling Americans as defective people who deserve to be replaced by superior foreign immigrants, the Pelosi model. But perhaps most of all, we need to look at the ways modernity is destroying people. Modern technology, modern careers, modern culture are making people depressed, let's be honest, making people addicted, insecure, in some cases, many cases, making them insane. For these problems, the homeless are just the most visible reflection of much greater societal emergency. Some of these problems are easy to solve, others are not. But homelessness is an American crisis, and it's getting worse. We promise to continue covering it as long as it takes for things to get better. Because a country as noble and prosperous as ours should never have people living in tents in public parks.